Twin Cities Adventures with our Minnesota honeybee playlist. So some of you YouTubers out there have been asking where Franklin's been, why he hasn't been in any videos lately, and I know that we have people watching in over 60 countries around the world. So Franklin's been away at college for the last year, but now he's home for the summer. So say hi, Franklin. Hi. So he's gonna jump in the video in my bee suit, and then I'm gonna film in t-shirt and shorts from behind. All right, so Samuel's gonna first just take the bucket feeders off, and they propolize those tops, like I said earlier, and build comb out. So he's just gonna calm everything down, and we'll remove that. And then we'll start tearing the hive apart for inspections. Take the top board off, we'll clean that off, set that aside. Samuel will just scrape off the extra comb here, set that aside. And then now the top brood box is really getting built up, so we're gonna have to be careful because the queen will be up top, because the queens naturally move upwards and they build. So we'll smoke off that pollen patty that they're munching on for nummy num nums for breakfast. So Franklin's just gonna smoke the entrance a little to calm everyone down. And then we're gonna use our hive tool for the first time to help open that up. You can see how built out the comb is.
Yeah, real big. No winch.
Ooh, look at that. Looking really good. Now we'll just put those frames down here now while we're working on our inspection. Okay.
This one is really stuck down.
Boy, they are working hard on this. That is all pure honey. And we have more honey and cat brood. Look at the baby. I'll try to get a clear shot of the baby larvae in there. Look at those little guys. They look like little noodles. And this is where you can inspect and see if there are any varroa mites.
You know what I'm looking at? Yeah. It's just darker and fatter.
You can look close for varroa mites while you do your open inspections like this.
What's the ball? I don't know.
This is built out a lot more than I thought it would be. There's another big giant drone there. Looking really good.
No queenie yet, though.
Okay, and there's our queen right there with the blue dot. Looking good. So we'll put her aside also. And that'll give us permission to basically aggressively go through and inspect the rest of the hive. So the queen is safely in here, so now we'll just set the next two frames against our ledge back here. Brush those off the bottom. That frame tool works really well, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's nice for grabbing them.
Just put that up there like that so it doesn't slide over. Give that a little brush.
Down next to the bowl or something. Try not to squish anyone.
Okay, so now we have a little bit of residue here we'll clean up, and we'll just do a quick little inspection of what the bottom brood box looks like. Make sure that everything is built up properly. So we'll just scrape this extra comb off the top, do a little bit of housekeeping.
Go real slow and real careful with it so you don't kill anyone important.
Alright, I'll try to come through here, and we're just going to give the bottom frames a check to make sure they're all built out properly. See if we need to checkerboard anybody. So, did you find one that's not filled up? We'll just bring that one up, and we'll put one of the full ones from the top brood box down then, because they're naturally going to want to go up. So we'll take the full ones now, and then we'll put those in the bottom. And we've got our hive spacer out, so we'll have 9 filled out frames on the bottom. That way we know that the bottom is done and it's good. So the bees are gonna naturally want to go upwards and build upwards, and they will neglect the bottom ones. So you gotta checkerboard things, and you gotta respace things and fill things as you want them to live in their hive. Because remember now, they don't naturally live in beehives in nature. They live in like logs and trees and stuff. So we're kind of forcing them to live in a box, and they don't know the rules on how to survive the winter. So we have to help them. So we need them to completely fill out 2 brood boxes full so they can survive the winter. All right, and there is 9. So we'll just double check and make sure that's spaced out properly with our hive spacing tool. Now we never have to worry about that again. Now we're just going to take the bottom hive here and flip it around, and we're going to pull out the bottom screen board, see if we need to clean anything out. Just kind of shake that off and brush that off. Now that would be mites and basically like drippings from the pollen patty packages and anything else that's dropping down. Just give that a light scraping. And we'll just flip that bottom board, and then we'll spin that back around, and we'll put the hive back together. Okay, Franklin's gonna smoke that hive a little bit, and then we'll put that back together. Watch out for the fake flowers here. All right, now we're gonna checkerboard all of these frames. Find the queen. She was on here earlier.
Here she is.
Where she is right there. So we're gonna put that one on the edge by the window. And then we're gonna checkerboard the rest of the frames in there to encourage them to fill them out. All right, so we have a filled out one on both sides, and we'll just checkerboard the center with empty ones next to full ones. Okay, we'll just clean all the bees off the feeder box real quick. So Samuel's over here scraping the top board off of just dried up sugar syrup, any propolis, any built up wax, comb. So throw half a pollen patty in right there. All right, so put the top board on next, and then we'll put the new sugar syrup bucket on after that. Flip that upside down, and we'll put the feeder bucket on top of that, and then we'll put the insulator on top of that, and then put the feeder box on top of that, and follow with the top cap. All right, we'll tear the second one down, pretty much do the same thing. I'll show you when we find the queen. I'll show you any exciting parts. Look at how built out that is. That is looking really, really good on top. Just set those down there.
They're all different.
There's the queen right there, the blue dot. She just kind of bulldozes her way around. She's in charge. She's the boss. Once again, we're going to inspect the bottom brood box now and pull out any frames that are empty. And we will fill the bottom brood box with completely filled out frames. And then the ones that aren't super full, we will checkerboard those in the top. Oh, they're building a fort over here on this one. Cool.
They're going underneath it too. They are.
Just scrape a little comb off there. And you can see the bottom board down there if you need to clean that off at all underneath.
I'm inspecting the hive to make sure that Queen's not on this one because we want her on the top one. The queen likes to hang out with all the other bees, and we got to make sure that while we do want the heavy populated ones on the bottom one, we want to make sure the queen's not on it.
Yeah, we want the queen on top to be laying eggs on all the empty frames on top. That's why you have to rotate your frames. It's always best to rotate your frames to encourage them to lay more eggs on the empty frames. You'll get a thicker, fuller colony a lot faster that way. Okay, that's 9 completely filled out frames on bottom, so we'll just space that out with our spacing tool. And then we're gonna clean out the bottom screen board next. So once again, we'll clean that. Let's check for mites real quick before you spin that. See any mites in there?
I don't see anything moving.
Yeah, there's a little bit of mildew from the moisture, so that's why you want to clean it and flip it. And then most of that other stuff is just bits and pieces from the pollen patty, the paper from it, and maybe a little bit of bee poop. All right, that's all scraped off, and we'll flip it. That way the bottom can continue to dry out. And we'll put that back around. Now here's the leftover pollen patty. There's a little bit of mildew on there. You just want to chuck that and put a fresh one in when you do your inspections or cleanouts. Just throw that in the back of the orchard. And then just put the top box on. Okay, there's the queen. So we'll put her on the outside of the top one here. No, flip it around the other way. Just put her in there. And then we'll fill the rest of them out, checkerboard them. Put another full one.
This is the closest thing to a full one we got.
Okay.
We got like nothing. I'll put it on that side then.
It's not really full. And that way we're going to keep feeding them sugar syrup and pollen patties to encourage the queen to lay eggs and fill all of those out. That's our next goal, is to fill all the frames out on the top board.
This is 8. We need 10 in.
Alright, so we got the pollen patty, half a pollen patty on top. Franklin's cleaning off the feeder box. Samuel's scraping any icky debris off the top board. That's all dried up sugar syrup. Okay, next we'll put the top board on top of the pollen patty. And then we'll put the bucket of sugar sap on, the full one down there. Put that on top of the hole. Put that on, and then next goes,
Like that? Yeah.
make sure there's no stuff on it.
On.
Okay. Put the feeder box on top there, square that off. And then we'll ratchet that down. All right, so let's peek inside the first one. That's why I love these BeeCastle hives. You can peek in there and see what they're up to. Open the top one up. You can peek in there at that one. Watch them doing all their honeybee stuff. Nice.
I thought I saw something down here. Look at that guy. He's been hitting like that.
Yeah, that guy's got pollen sacs. You can see him coming in and out of the hive with sacks full of pollen. And then here's this side. You can peek at that one. And we'll see if we can catch the queen over here in this one. There she is, right there. That's kind of cool. There's the boss. Right there. All right, so we'll just close those back up. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is these sugar syrup buckets. See, there's comb buildup, and they could have built up and blocked some of the holes. That's why I wanted to swap those out with fresh buckets. So this leftover sugar syrup in here, we can pour that into our 5-gallon bucket, and then we'll just thoroughly soak these in hot soapy water and clean those off, because I can see there's lots of gunk in those holes. So we'll clean those up and set those aside for later. Okay, so that was a second 5-gallon bucket full of food mixed up, put it in there, and check on our second brood box, flip some frames around, checkerboard them. Franklin did a great job. What'd you think, Franklin?
I thought it was really fun. I like the bees.
Yeah, they are awesome. Samuel, what do you think?
Well, they're looking great and growing well.
Yeah. So we just need to fill out that second brood box. That's our next goal. So we'll just monitor that. We shouldn't have to go into the bottom one and inspect again. Okay, and the hives are all put back together. Everybody's calmed down.
Thanks for watching. Twin Cities Adventures, out.